Good evening, Dr. Burnett. My name is Alexis Moore, of course. I'd like to first apologize for not turning in the outline. I've been extremely sick the past 3 to 4 weeks, and I'm just getting back into the swing of everything, and I'm going to do the speech for you now because, of course, it's due tonight. So, my topic was how things work in the musical. So, have you ever wondered why music sounds so pleasing to the ear? And what makes it that way? Well, from my point of view, being a musician myself, it takes a lot to really get the sound quality, the tone, the timbre, the melodies, the rhythms, and all of that put together, because you've got to have a lot of training in order to get it to where you want it to be. When I started, my band director kind of just like, hey, I'm going to put you on something and we're going to see how it works. So that's what we did, and he had me play a couple basic rhythms on a snare drum and was like, that's for you. And I've stuck with it ever since. But to really put it together in a way that's pleasing to one's ear, it starts with the theory of how music works, which basically, from quoting howmusicworks.org, the website What is Music Theory? It says music theory is the framework that gives our human imagination the widest possible scope for expression through music, which means it gives you all these possibilities that you could do whatever you want with said anything just to make some music. It doesn't necessarily have to be rhythmically right. You can just put it together and that's music. But music theory also teaches you the important elements, from the sound you want, learning melodies, learning rhythms, helps you learn your scales, major, minor, augmented, diminished. You learn different time signatures. You learn really how, when putting when putting the notes and rhythms in a measure, say, it helps you know where you're gonna go. You could start with a simple quarter note and it can end with 30-second notes. Music theory teaches you how to form these rhythms, patterns, and it teaches you the different notes as well. There comes a time when musicians, when we're first learning, we don't really know all these things, so we have to go slow. So you have to learn, depending upon what instrument you're on, you have to learn the fingerings, you have to learn how to use your embouchure, how to tongue write or figure out the fingerings for certain notes on an instrument, whether you're playing saxophone, flute, clarinet, all the way up to percussion. Like I said, I'm a percussionist. That's what I had to do. I had to learn how to play rhythms. I didn't really know how to I don't really know how to play use fingerings and stuff. I can play around with it and try to get some sound, but it won't come out as how I want it to. musicians practice a lot to make sure that the music that we're playing is definitely pleasing to the ear, because without having these things, it'll fall apart and nobody will be able to understand or find the music that's being played very pleasing. So we go back and we play music from Beethoven, Bach, whether you're playing piano, an actual symphony, orchestra, things like that. So when learning how to play an instrument, it's more so like dedication, because you have to sit there and you're not going to have someone to hold your hand the entire way through. You're going to have to push through even when you don't want to. Let's see. Music works in mysterious ways, honestly, because it can trigger emotions for people. It can get people through some tough times. It can just make you feel happy. Like, can give you a feeling of pure joy when you listen to it. And that's what people listen for. And that's what makes what I do so enjoyable, because I'm bringing happiness and making people feel things that they never thought that they could feel through music. Learning to play instruments, and any of them, well, you have to figure out like the definite instrumentation for whatever song it is, because like you can have so many options, honestly. Like, there will be maybe first trumpet part, second trumpet part. You have to find and figure out what trumpet, have auditions basically, there you go. And from that is how you split up the parts, but it won't always start out that way. That way, once you get to that point, you're like in the high school, upper high school, and early college, all college level. But when you're first starting out, it's kind of like everybody plays the same part to help make sure that you're learning the notes, getting the rhythms, counting the measure numbers, rests, everything from the time you get the music to the time you actually have to sit through a performance and play different pieces of music, whether they be hard, they be easy, they be in between. It's a lot to sit back and have to really think about certain things, and to be able to have these things be pleasing to the ear for an audience, those who don't know what goes on behind the scenes. That's what I'm explaining right now. I felt that it was important for me to talk about this topic because I feel like a lot of musicians go underappreciated sometimes, because they're like, oh, well, you just play an instrument. It can't be that hard. It's a lot harder than most people think. Like I mentioned earlier, playing an instrument takes time. You have to diligently sit there and learn your embouchure, learn how your hands work, learn how to play these rhythms, help yourself develop muscle memory when playing your instrument. And no matter what you do with your life, you're always going to have that muscle memory, no matter what. You can stop playing a trumpet for 10 years, and you can still pick it up and be able to play because of the muscle memory that you had growing up as a child. And learning these things are what make the music world so great, because we get to do what we love on a daily basis. Not saying everybody else doesn't get to do what they love, but this is something that's very near and dear to all of our hearts, and we take it extremely, extremely seriously. So I hope you understand now where, from my point of view, how musicians get to where we get to. And I hope that it opens up your eyes to a whole other side of the music world. Thank you.